with my penis.
Hi.
Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmesy, 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 Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Holmesy, Holmesy, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmesy, 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 Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmesy, 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 Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmesy, 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 Jonathan Holmes, 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 Jones, Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes, Jonathan Holmes.
Wow.
Hello.
That's so nice. Thank you for doing that. I didn't think you were going to do that. I don't think anyone did.
Did you get it or not?
Yeah, it was like a rousing Basil Palladorus Conan the Barbarian style, like, no. You're like, whoa, here we go, riding the horse.
It was the boss music from Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But you're... well, that's... Oh.
It doesn't matter. It was very well sung, and the feeling that I was important was so overwhelming. I started to giggle. It made me feel like I actually mean something to someone somewhere. This is great. Thanks. Hi, Jim. It's you. It's just you and me this week, I guess.
Yeah. It is just us lads together.
Yeah, I like old times. That's how it used to be for a while when Max and Tara first left the show.
When they fled us.
People still talk about their era with this kind of like whimsy and romanticism, you know?
Yeah.
They loved it. And it was a nice time. I loved having them on the show.
It was a fun time indeed. I think when Thomas Truong starts doing the animations, the Podtoid animation series, some of the episodes will be from that era. So we'll have Max and Tara's contributions on there. You're getting a lot of background noise, my friend.
You're kidding. What's it like?
Like...
Oh, yeah? Maybe it's that cord.
Like the TV off the Poltergeist.
Is it still happening now?
It's reduced.
Oh, weird. I'm just looking at my sock now.
It's now like a calming, like a monsoon, like a rain in the background.
Has it been going the whole time?
Oh, the rain. That's not a song. I knew there was a song about rain that I wanted to sing, but couldn't remember it, so I just said, oh, the rain.
There's many songs about rain. It's one of those things people just want to sing about. I don't know why. Blame it on the rain.
Blame it on the rain, you boogie.
And I miss you like a dancer misses the rain. Do you know that one?
Like Tony Danza misses the rain.
Yeah, that song makes no sense.
Like Tony Danza misses the reign of King Henry VIII.
Oh, that would be REIAGN. Yes. Are you still getting the background noise, or am I okay now?
It's not too bad. It's there a little bit. It's not... We can work with it, Jonathan. We can work with it.
Sure, I can try to touch something and make it... I don't know.
I know what you could try touching.
Oh, no. Jeez. I had an idea for us for once.
I wasn't going to say your penis. I wasn't going to say your penis. Who said I was going to say touch your penis? I want you to do a shit on the floor and touch that. I would love, as a gift for Christmas, to just have a stick of your shit with, like, indents around it, like grooves where you've just pressed your fingers. Where you've held it in your hand and your fingers have been wrapped around it, and it's just got these little, like, indents of where your fingers were. And then I can hold it in my hands once it's solidified. We can have it varnished. And then I can hold it in my hands and then pretend that I'm you holding your poo. And we can have written over the varnish the Jonathan Holmes poo experience.
It's interactive. It's very intuitive.
It's touch-based gameplay like the Wii U.
I played a lot of Wii U games. We can get to that later, though. I want to hear about the thing you went to, the Escapist Con. How was that?
Oh, yeah. I think that is why I am still in high spirits, as you have gathered from my energetic introduction. Still,
yes.
It was good. I've been drinking Monster Energy as well again.
Good.
So my mouth is watering. That's why it just does that. Because of all the chemicals in it. What were we talking about?
The Escapist thing. Was that the first time they did that? Do their own con?
Yeah, this was the inaugural one. This was this week. I haven't been on Destructoid the past few days, as some people may have known and celebrated. But I was in County Durham. No, just Durham. It was just called Durham, North Carolina, for the Escapist Expo. As many of you who listen to this will know, because I plug it at the end of every episode, I do a show called The Gymquisition on escapistmagazine.com, The Escapist, where they host a lot of other shows and things. And they had their very first con, their very first expo. And it was fantastic.
Oh, really?
I must admit, I think I even shared a little cynicism on this show, on Podtoid. Just, a caution, because, the Escapist, they're a big, successful site, but they're not, like, IGN big.
Right.
So I was like, how's this going to do? Will the people turn up? And numbers in the thousands turned up.
Wow.
Many very enthusiastic. People were dressed up. There was a Killer 7 cosplayer.
Oh, wow. Who? Harlan? Or,
it was... I can never say his name right. It was Aru.
Is he the guy with the headphones?
The red gimp suit who dispenses advice and sort of comes down on a line with his finger over his mouth.
Oh, yeah. He's not one of the Killer 7. He's a guy. Yeah. That's great.
From Killer 7. That was great. There was a fantastic pyramid head. He was great. There was a Garrus from Mass Effect. And they'd made a full head mask for him, and the mouth moved up and down. Like it was an animated head. It was great. That was fun. Met a whole bunch of Escapist contributors. Met Movie Bob. Met Graham and Paul from Loading Ready Run. Met Gavin from Miracle of Sound, who is just incredibly talented. And Yahtzee, of course, from Zero Punctuation. He's very nice. Very nice man. And it was, I did a lot of panels with him, and it was great getting some back and forth banter with him, and there was some unspoken, I wouldn't say one-upsmanship, but there was definitely an inspiration to go toe-to-toe on the wit scale, and especially in a room full of people who, let's be honest, were there to see him. I think I did quite well, so that was fun. We did a lot of panels, did the Hour of Love, where myself and Yahtzee and Movie Bob could only say nice things for an hour, while people from the audience gave us ideas and concepts, like On Disc DLC and Kane and Lynch 2, these kinds of things. And we had an actual psychologist, Dr. Mark Klein, in between, making sure that what we said were happy and psychoanalyzing the merriment. So that was incredible fun. A lot went on. There was a lot of activities. Gavin's Miracle of Sound concert was mind-blowing. So yeah, good show. And hopefully they'll do it next year, and I'll definitely be there again next year. And if you go to escapistmagazine.com, they're uploading videos of all the panels. The Hour of Love's up, and a Q&A and My Favourite Game, they're all up at the moment. I'm all on those panels if you want to see me talking bullshit for an hour. And if you're listening to this, then you probably would like that for some reason. So, yeah, that's all up. I'm posting a few of my favourite ones on Destructoid.com as well. So, yeah, good stuff, Jonathan. Good stuff.
Sounds awesome. There was a lot of panels and cosplayers. Was there any... What other... In a concert, was there any games there? Was there... Yeah, how the games weigh in? Were there any of those?
Yeah, they had a whole PC LAN area set up. They had a League of Legends tournament. The most interesting part, they had, I forget the name of the arcade, but they had these guys bring down a whole bunch of their arcade machines, and there was some great stuff there. So I was playing Primal Rage with Chris Pranger from No Right Answer, playing the old Primal Rage. That took me back. And they had all sorts of interesting arcade machines, including Chiller, that old talk.
Oh, yeah. Scares me so much.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Would you like to recreate Chiller?
Oh.
I would love to just have you chained against the wall while I shoot you with a BB gun.
And a bat flies by and just bites me and then flies away. Ugh, Chiller.
You're giving me ideas. I like that. You're contributing to the idea pot. What was I going to say? Oh, there were some Podtoid fans out there.
Oh, great.
Met a few Podtoid fans. There were bits where we were doing like autograph signing and stuff, which I found awkward. It was the only bit of the weekend I found awkward, mostly because, again, like, people were there for Yahtzee, and they had everyone else, and it's like, I felt 50% of what I was signing I was doing because they took pity on the rest of us and were giving us something to do. But there were a few people that were genuinely there for, my own trademark flourish. And some person brought Deadly Premonition to sign, which I always enjoy when people do that. And yeah, anyone who said they were a Podtoid fan, I did a special signature for them, where as well as my own signature, I wrote Holmes's anus as a nice treat. And someone gave me Podtoid fan art to sign and gave me a copy as well, which I'm going to have framed and put on the wall. I've not photographed it and uploaded it yet, but I'm going to. It's a picture, an amazing picture someone's done of Willem Dafoe holding your disembodied head, Jonathan. And
That's it?
Yeah, you're looking surprised, and he's just sort of grinning with his tongue poking out. And it's fantastic. I bellowed with laughter when this guy just slid it across the desk and said, "Can you sign this?"
It's very strange that, yeah, I have to explain to people, like, oh yeah, I've got a bunch of Twitter followers. Oh really? How many? 50, 60? I'm like, oh no, like almost 6,000. Like, whoa! I'm like, yeah, but about half of them just want to listen to me get tortured or talk about my butthole. They don't actually like me. They just like my butthole as an idea. And it's even harder to explain. Some of the people who follow me on Twitter are interested in stuff, but some of them are just there for the gags,
the gags, the butt jokes. Fans of my conceptual butthole.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Any people who are interested are fine with me, no matter what the reason. And I've had a lot of people this week who just really enjoy hating me because I did a Call of Duty video. And whenever I do one of those, it's not that the people don't enjoy it. I mean, it's got a ton of views, or at least I think a good amount. It's up to, I think, 66,000 so far, which is, not a blockbuster, but it's a good amount.
Yeah.
And a lot of them just love to hate it. They just hate it, and enjoy hating it. So as long as they're happy, that's good. I was playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on the Wii U gamepad to show it off a little bit, and the battery had died, and the sound wasn't working. The whole show. This was at the New York Wii U event on the 13th. The whole thing was kind of a technical mess. But I wanted to use every second that I could to be productive, so we found a place to plug in the camera, and I got like guys from other websites that I'd never even met in real life before to shoot the video. I'll get one guy from the VG Tribune and another guy from Rip10. Check out those websites if you want. They're good. And I was just playing Call of Duty, but I had to hold the controller like away from me so the camera could shoot it, so I could like sort of see the screen, and I'm just running around showing off what the gamepad could do. Sure. And I figured, just kept getting sniped. I just get shot and killed. And I don't really like Call of Duty anyway, largely because it's a one-hit kill kind of game where you can figure out the big picture of why you got shot, but like in the moment, you can just be walking forward thinking, I'm not playing this game wrong, I'm walking forward. That's what everybody does in this game, right? And then you're just dead. And then it's like, oh, there was a guy in a tower. You should have known. I'm like, how was I supposed to know there was a guy in a tower? Like, the punishment seems a little harsh to me in Call of Duty. Anyway, that's just my opinion about competitive first-person shooters in general. So I'm playing the game, and I get shot, and then I look at the camera and go, I died. I died because Call of Duty. I died. You know, just acting like, this is dumb. I know this is dumb. I'm going to act dumb now just to kind of show how dumb I think the whole thing is. And people got really angry that I acted that way and that I got shot. They're like, you shouldn't hire a guy who gets shot in Call of Duty to play it. Like, don't they all? Doesn't everybody? But anyway, yeah, that was an interesting experience. But I had to really absorb the fact that I was getting hated, but people enjoyed hating me, and therefore I should be happy I did something they liked, I guess.
Silver clouds.
Yeah, why not?
Silver lining. Sorry, the
silver lining to the clouds. Goes. Well, the whole cloud's silver. The whole thing's just a shiny silver ball.
Silver cloud in the sky, raining down smiles on a baby's dick.
Raining smiles, yeah.
Raining smiles, and they just give it a little kiss on the end. Yeah. Speaking of, actually, the Wall Street Journal is drawing a lot of hatred at the moment because it reviewed Borderlands 2. The Wall Street Journal decided to review a video game.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Now, I'm not one to criticize a reviewer's opinion. I've said many times before, I'm very much about the protection of the reviewer's opinion. I struggle to call the man a reviewer, rather, and I hesitate to call this regurgitated corporate apology a review. But, yeah, I mean, that's currently at 650 comments from very angry people who, as you were saying, they're enjoying hating this guy. It's amazing. But we've been reading, a lot of people have been talking about this. This guy, Adam Najberg, I don't know how you pronounce it, but he's like, ask me what I think about Borderlands 2 from Gearbox Software, and I'd tell you about its dubious, convoluted plot. I'd talk about a mind-boggling array of guns and loot. At no point, though, would I ever say I was ready to joy puke my face off, as the Gamebox predicts players will do. So he's upset because he didn't joy puke.
What? But does he like video games generally?
He loves. As far as, let me see, he likes games that cost $60, but only if they're exactly like Halo and Call of Duty. It's a really weird review. His at that price point, the first-person shooter published by 2K Games inevitably invites comparisons with the Halos and Calls of Duty games already out and due to come in the next few weeks and months.
No, that's a sentence he wrote?
That's what, the Halos and Calls of Duty, I love it. It's like, I do like those videoed games that them kids are playing, but it's not like that, not like the Angered Birds. So, at one point he says that the game doesn't have the same kind of rich single-player campaign that you find in Call of Duty and Medal of Honor. So that's weird. He also said that for $60, he expects, quote-unquote, scads of downloadable content.
What?
The guy is, like, angry that for $60 he doesn't get the chance to spend, like, more than $60 to pay more stuff.
At launch. Yeah, the game just came out, and he's expecting to be able to buy more stuff that should have been on the disc today. Wow.
But it's an amazing review. It's like, I'm obviously not... everyone's angry at the guy, and I'm not for that. But it's one of those funny examples. It's like when CNN tried to review the 3DS when it came out, and it was just so ill-informed. And I believe it was the guy who was like, I play the Halo. Like, that's always their qualifier. It's like, I'm clearly not someone who plays video games, but I've got to review this video game thing. I'm just going to say that I know the Halos.
And then people will, he's legit.
Yeah.
He's been to the Halo. Yeah, he knows.
And it's just saying that he had to go back to the Wikipedia descriptions of the original game to remember the intricate twists and turns of its story. Bear in mind the first Borderlands barely had a story.
Yeah, it was just go do the thing and then come back.
Yeah, and then he went into this whole spiel about like the backstory that's on Wikipedia. It's an amazing
What?
review. It's worth reading. It's well worth reading. Um, for that, Borderlands 2's single-player campaign mode isn't as good as what you'll find in games like COD, Black Ops, or the Medal of Honor series.
Wow.
He demands multiplayer. The 4-player co-op wasn't good enough. He said that was too scant. There needs to be like competitive multiplayer. Which, I mean, that's the main, like, if anything's intellectually offensive about it, it's the fact that he argues for everything that other gamers have been complaining about and being gotten tired of in games at the moment. Just the really stagnant, everything having the same set of features. This guy's just, I want multiplayer. Was it? Oh, here it is. As a $30 impulse buy, priced about the same as games like NASCAR Unleashed, I wouldn't have a problem recommending Borderlands 2 as a fun diversion. At twice that price, though, I think it's fair for players to demand a whole magla cutting-edge development, engrossing campaign gameplay. Cutting-edge development? Like, how is that as a...
What
How
does that
do you
mean?
judge that? It means nothing! But he wants it. Cutting-edge development, engrossing campaign gameplay, scads of downloadable content, a rich social media community experience, sharing of loot and gear, and online multiplayer modes that keep you and your friends coming back until the next version of the game comes out. It's
Wow.
it's like EA wrote it.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't mention Netflix in there, right? He doesn't want it to run Netflix. Because it's just everything that doesn't matter in good game design. I mean, a good game is designed to be compelling on its own. It doesn't need just a bunch of bullet points that are in every game in order to be worth buying, because then you're just buying the same game over and over again. Does he talk about any of the things that Borderlands 2 does that other games don't do? Like how it's hilarious and how it's got the branching skill trees and how about the art direction? Does he talk about any of that stuff?
He talks about the writing, which
Mhm.
was dubious and convoluted. He says
Oh,
the art style he didn't like. He said it was too much like a cartoon.
oh,
He said it wasn't. He's angry because it doesn't look like an anime. That was his problem with it. It doesn't look like.
what?
Apparently, if your game has like a brightly colored art direction, it has to be an anime.
Does it?
Otherwise, it's too cartoony for him. Which I'm trying to pass the logic of this. This doesn't look enough like a cartoon. Therefore, it looks too much like a cartoon.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Wow. Well, I wonder if
Yeah.
did he enjoy writing it, or did he just? I wonder if he had to do it, so he just had to write the words fast, and who knows, huh? Well, that is very interesting. I had no idea that existed. I was paying attention to other reviews of Borderlands 2. All of the ones I've read have been quite favorable. Game Informer gave it a 9.75, I think, which is a weird number, but they almost wanted to say it's perfect, but just couldn't quite bring themselves to. We gave it an 8.5, I think. Alistair reviewed it. Yeah, getting good reviews all around, from what I can tell. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the game itself, I've been playing it myself, and it's great. It's a great game. I've got no problem with someone disliking the game. Obviously, if the guy had argued that he didn't like it and gave reasons, then that's fine. But he gave actually no reasons for disliking it. I mean, you can't say things just like, "Oh, the story is dubious and convoluted," without explaining why. And he doesn't explain, the cutting edge development thing. He just kind of
Does dubious mean like this wouldn't really happen?
yeah, I mean
Is that what he means
dubious.
by that?
I'm guessing dubious, hard to believe and everything. But again, it's like we're here guessing what he means. It's like when a developer says their game is quote unquote emotional. These things don't mean anything on their own, and that's what most of the review is. When he's not just like the only clear opinion he has is I don't like it because it's not Call of Duty, which. I mean, again, I'm all for if he had a decent comparison to make, but it was just, it's not Call of Duty. That's really what the opinion is. But yeah,
Yeah.
do read it. Don't get. It's not worth getting angry about. It's just funny. I mean, you're watching a guy from the Wall Street Journal just do exactly the kind of review you'd expect from the Wall Street Journal about a video game. It's very amusing to read. I don't get the people who are outright furious, but
Well, I think a lot of people would expect the Wall Street Journal, because they're like been to journalism school and whatnot, to do a better review than someone like you or I would do. But I don't find that to be the case at all. When mainstream outlets review video games, or movies or books for that matter, they often just go with their gut feeling, don't really care about explaining it, and then just write a bunch of crap that gives a general idea that they didn't like it, but you don't know why, and you don't know if you would like it too. There's one guy who wrote a review of Scott Pilgrim the movie, and he was like, "Well, as soon as I got down, I looked around and I saw a bunch of teenagers, and I already knew this movie was gonna suck. Then I kind of like paid attention, but then sometimes it was spaced out, and I left about halfway through." And this was like in the Boston Globe or something, and he just announced he hated it before he even saw it because he hates hipsters and they make him feel old. And then that was it. Job done. He got paid for that. It's weird.
yeah,
Not bad.
there are some interesting reviewers out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously get shit for mine, so I don't want to just give other reviewers shit, but you do get these ones where they will just outright say they don't like anything about what they were reviewing and didn't want to like it, and it's, yeah, odd. Very odd.
Interesting. I got a weird late night email from Mike Z, who is the designer behind Skullgirls. You know that fighting game there?
Oh, sure, I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good game. 2D fighting game, downloadable, PSN, Steam, XBLA. He wrote me this email saying he was really pissed about Joystick's Double Dragon review, Double Dragon Neon, because the reviewer didn't get into the fact that the fighting system has no like combos or different ways to branch off from one move into another move, or it's just kind of a straight punch and kick game, and they didn't talk about that at all. And then he wrote me an email right after apologizing, saying, "Oh, I forgot you don't work for Joystick." Anyway, their review wasn't very good. Don't write reviews like that. It's pretty cute. I want to see if he can get in and write about that stuff, because he's really smart, and he gets really frustrated when reviewers don't really like the genre of game that they're playing, or don't take it very seriously. They're just kind of... But at the same token, I think those reviews are worth a lot too. Like, I wouldn't necessarily care that much about a diehard Call of Duty fan's review of Black Ops, whereas if someone liked Call of Duty as much as I do, which is a little bit, and wrote it and said, it's actually a lot more fun for people who don't like this that much. They changed a lot to make it more for you, then that's a review that would speak to me, whereas like a competitive player's review wouldn't apply to me very much. So I think it all depends on that. I don't think there's any right or wrong reviews.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. But I would ask that if you review something, you have a clue about the game and the genre and its intent. I think that's important. I, for instance, would never review Skullgirls because, as I've said many times before on Podtoid, I don't play one-on-one fighting games. I don't understand them. I love the idea of them, but I don't understand how you begin playing them. So I don't touch them, and I find other reviewers for that. I wouldn't do... There are only a few sports games I could ever imagine reviewing, these kinds of things. And it looks like in some of these instances, reviewers that really weren't right for it get it. And, and I wouldn't, put myself above that. I've learned over the years that there are some games that you just aren't equipped to review as a reviewer, and I think every writer needs to be aware of that you can't just review everything under the sun, because there are always things that will inevitably fall out of your remit. But yeah, I mean, if you're not a big fan of something, then, that can be a valuable review. And I also find people that love a series can often be more critical of something. And therefore, that can be very valuable. If you're the right kind of fan of something, then you're gonna. If you're a mature fan of something with an actual, grown-up, sensible approach to criticism, then you're going to be more critical of something you love than I think you would of something you hate or just ambivalent to.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The only reason your Skullgirls review might not be awesome is I imagine you would play it and be like, I'm just punching and kicking. That's all I have to say about this. Like, if you were able to dig into it deeply, I think it would still be a valuable review, even though you're not a fighting game fan per se. But it's when you don't like a genre or just don't get a genre to the point where you just have nothing to write about it. That's happened to me a few times when I've considered reviewing a game or a type of game, and it's literally so dull to me that I can't even grasp what it is. Like, if I were to try to review, like, Farmville or something, I would just be like, you click on the snake, it's good? I don't know. I don't know, I'm sorry. And I can't even find words.
Yeah, it's once you start criticizing story aspects that aren't even in the game you're reviewing, like this guy at the Wall Street Journal did, I mean, that's when you've got a problem.
Yeah, indeed. Another big news I was going to ask you about, I don't know if you'd even heard it because you were busy at the expo, that Nintendo is publishing Bayonetta 2. Had you heard that?
Oh, yes.
What do you think of that?
I had so many people demanding I do a Jimquisition video on the Bayonetta fans and their outrage over it. Obviously, I was traveling to Durham at the time, so I couldn't have done anything, even if I wanted to. Not that there's a lot that I could do. I mean, I don't know how I could do a whole video saying what is obvious. The fact that it was this or no Bayonetta 2 at all. So I don't quite get the rage.
What's really interesting to me about them is that there's one camp in particular that's got a plan, and they're trying to spread the plan and make it like that millions of people do this in order to cause Bayonetta 2 to flop. They're like, buy a Wii U used, then buy Bayonetta 2 used, and then play it and enjoy it. And then it'll flop because everyone bought it used, so they'll have to bring it to the PS3, and then we can all buy it on the PS3. And then you're like, but you already bought it on the Wii U and enjoyed it, so why would you want it on the PS3? And then there's no response.
That is literally the dumbest thing I've heard.
They say the PS3 is the right system for it, and it needs to be on the right system, or else it should fail.
Bayonetta, like the original Bayonetta, sucked on the PS3 anyway. It did. The PS3 version blew chunks. What the heck?
Yeah, it had a lot of screen tearing. Well, name the problems with it, if you recall.
It was mainly the screen and the loading, which I believe they eventually, tried to patch to improve. But the 360 was the fucking default version of that game.
Yeah, that's the main version, and then the PS3 version was a port, I think.
And what do they think? Like, Nintendo is publishing this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How in the name of blue buggering Christ do they think that Nintendo's going to publish this thing on the PS3?
I guess they think that they'll give the rights back later for some reason.
Do they understand how publishing, just how reality works?
They must not. I mean, publishing, from what I know, it can mean a lot of different things, but almost always it means they funded the game and they own the rights to that particular version of that game. And then they can sell it later, like how Nintendo published Last Story, and it's actually Iwata's name is the last name in the credits. He's the executive producer. But they didn't want to bring him to the United States, so they're like, oh yeah, we'll let Xseed do it. So they let them do that. I can't see why Nintendo would ever want to let another publisher take Bayonetta 2 and put it on the PS3.
And who would do it? I mean, Sega was the one that had the publishing rights to the first game, and by all accounts, like I said, I got a lot of this info while traveling, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
But by all accounts, Sega did not have any interest in Bayonetta 2.
Well, they're involved, but no one knows how. It's one of those weird corporate times where they put their name on the teaser image, but then asked like, well, what are they doing? And they're like, oh, they're advising. Sega's going to advise.
Right.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what they're doing. But and Sega and Nintendo have worked together for a long time on the Mario and Sonic games. So they've got a weird relationship that I don't think people understand or know about. But yeah, by all rights, it's Nintendo publishing. Sega's name is on the box, but they're only involved in an advisory level. And this is a second game from Platinum that they're publishing, which is almost as many games as Sega's published as Platinum. I think Sega's published, 4 Platinum games? There was that DS one, takes place in space, Vanquish, Bayonetta, Mad World, and Anarchy Reigns, which may never come out here at this rate. It's been out in Japan for a while. So who knows what's going on. But I think it's pretty big news in terms of Nintendo changing their tact. They're not only wanting to publish a game like Bayonetta, which goes against their family-friendly image in the United States, but they're also just taking a game that already had a publisher, Sega, and saying, yeah, we want to make a sequel for it. Let us do it. And who knows if that picks up, if that makes money, they may go to Capcom and be like, oh, yeah, Killer 7 2. We'll just make it. They may go to Square Enix and be like, oh, yeah, what would be a good one for them to do?
Square Enix. Mind Jack 2.
Or Einhander 2 or something. The fact that Nintendo... It could be a sign that Nintendo really cares about getting a wide variety of content, and also content that did okay on other consoles, but they care enough about it to try to make it a hit on theirs. I don't know. It's kind of exciting, if you ask me, especially if you've been worried that all games are kind of becoming the same, with the same features and the same kind of required multiplayer, like we were saying before, the same required online multiplayer. Nintendo doesn't play by those rules. All their games are kind of different from each other. So I wonder if they'll make the Wii U kind of a bastion of weird cult hits and variety. I hope so.
It'd be interesting.
That'd be good.
I'm enjoying that at least there's some passion going on about a new console. Like, even if it's kind of demented, it's kind of had a bit of a revitalizing effect this week, because I think we've all felt a bit of fatigue with the console generation winding up, and the PS Vita didn't really make much of a splash in terms of excitement in the gamer community. But now we have a new console. This is like the first new one. This is the new gen coming, even though obviously the Wii U's specs aren't quote-unquote next gen, but it is a new generation of console, and people are now getting a bit impassioned, and I'm excited for it now. I am excited to see what the Wii U does, whether it fails or succeeds. I feel a bit energized again about console gaming, where it was kind of, my interest was teetering. So I'm happy to see there's some excitement. I'm happy to see that there's been this big sort of, it's made a big splash with this Bayonetta thing, and I'm really keen to see what happens, and I can't wait to check out the full Wii U system. I've had a bit of a go on it, and you obviously played it. I wanted to, of course, come back and talk about the games you played and what you did at the Wii U event, my old friend.
Yeah, before I get into that, I'll top off your comment by saying the fact that Nintendo's publishing Bayonetta 2, I hope it means that they're not going to go about things the way they did on the Wii in terms of third parties and just kind of hoping third parties come to them. Because they assumed in the past, the best-selling console, third parties just gravitated to it and put all their marquee titles on that. But the Wii was so different, and in terms of hardware specs, so much weaker than the other consoles, that just didn't happen. So I hope this really means that the Wii U will not be a rerun of the Wii in that way. I think so. I think that's what's got people excited, because a lot of people are like, oh, Wii U, whatever. They just assumed third parties were going to port to it or ignore it completely and not put any original stuff on. And that may still be the case. But now Nintendo might actually just run and grab sequels to games that they want on their console. Who knows?
Actually, speaking of Bayonetta,
yeah,
I actually have an idea for a Willem Dafoe movie pitch. It's been a while since we had one. But Bayonetta the movie. I have an idea for Bayonetta the movie.
You do?
Yeah, and I know video game movies aren't usually that successful creatively, but I really think I'm onto a winner in a film in which Willem Dafoe plays the titular Bayonetta.
Wow.
Willem Dafoe plays Bayonetta, the sassy, gun-wielding, English-accented witch wearing a suit of her own hair. Now, this, of course, is done by having Willem Dafoe with a beehive haircut, wearing the bodysuit from Harry and the Hendersons, and a bra. And he walks around with his guns, just going, I am Bayonetta! Give me a kiss, Grandad! And then there is, like an old man, probably played by Frank Langella, and they kiss. Just I'm kissing Frank Langella, he says at the camera, and then he shoots. He played Skeletor in the Master of the Universe live-action film.
Oh, okay.
And he shoots his two guns in the air while Mexican music plays. It's bang, bang. And he's going, Arriba, Arriba! I'm Bayonetta! Arriba! And then hair grows out of his back and flies up his ass and comes out of his mouth. And he screams, I can taste my hair, poo! And then poo splashes all up the walls.
During that part, I'm picturing the going in for the kill, doing it for the thrill. You remember that song?
That's
from the Bayonetta commercials.
That is definitely what plays. And it's all in slow motion, and instead of saying doing it for the kill, it goes doing it for the hair poo. I'll be singing this. I'll be going doing it for the hairy suit, doing it for the hairy poo. Harry and the Hendersons, arriba, arriba. And the all the poo splashes up the walls. It drips. There's like just a ton of it. Like the room that he was in was bright white, and after the music finishes, every wall is brown, and poo is dripping from the ceiling and splashes on his face. And he looks up and he catches it on his tongue, on the tip of his tongue, just a little drip of poo, and he goes, "It's like snowflakes." And then he leaves, and then there is Danny DeVito, and he says, I am the devil! I'm the devil! And then they start kissing and trading a little ball of poo that is in Willem Dafoe's mouth, and they snowball, and it goes into Danny DeVito's mouth, and then he spits it back into Willem Dafoe's mouth, and then it goes, doing it for the snowball poo, doing it for having a kiss with Danny DeVito, oh. And then he looks at the camera and goes, I'm Bayonetta! And then all this hair flies out of his back, right? And it goes in Danny DeVito's ass, right?
What?
It goes, all the hair from Willem Dafoe goes up Danny DeVito's ass, and it comes out of his mouth, and it's covered in poo. And he goes, doing it for Danny DeVito's poo, doing it for Harry poo. And then there is poo, and the room that Danny DeVito in was white. And it is brown because of all of the poo. There is so much poo. And Willem Dafoe looks at the camera and says, now 2 rooms are brown with poo. And then he walks away.
Is he happy or sad when he says that? Or
just explaining. He just lets the audience know that there was so much poo inside Willem Dafoe and Danny DeVito that when it splashed out of their mouths, it covered all of the walls and ceiling in their brown. And then he looks in the corner and says, there's a bit of blood here in this one. Danny DeVito, you've got blood in your stool. That might be a sign of cancer or hemorrhoids, both of which are very, very serious on Bayonetta. And Danny DeVito goes, oh, you're Bayonetta, but I might have hemorrhoids or cancer, both of which should be checked out by a doctor. So, Bayonetta and Danny DeVito go to the Doctor, who is played by Brendan Fraser. And it sort of cuts in like time lapse, and it shows them in slow motion actually holding hands, skipping to the Doctor down a yellow brick road. And it says, "Doing it for the Doctor, doing it to see if it's hemorrhoids, doing it might be cancer, which is serious. He's Bayonetta." And then they go to the Doctor, and Brendan Fraser says, "Well, I've got your results here, Danny DeVito, and it turns out you've got hemorrhoids."
Scottish and loud?
As Brendan Fraser always is. And Danny DeVito looks at the camera and slaps his cheeks with both hands and goes, "Uh-oh, hemorrhoids!" And Willem Dafoe winks and says, "Well, maybe you shouldn't have fucked your ass." And Danny DeVito says, "I guess you're right. And I could do with eating more roughage." And then the music goes, "Doing it for roughage. Danny DeVito's got hemorrhoids." And then Danny DeVito and Willem Dafoe and Brendan Fraser all hold hands and they skip down the yellow brick road. And they meet Deborah Messing.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She's gorgeous and such a talent. And Deborah Messing says, "Put up your tubes. I need courage, I tells ya. I need courage." And then Willem Dafoe says, "Well, we've just decided that we're going to meet the Wizard of Oz. So you might as well come with us." And then they all hold hands and skip and says, "We're doing it for the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz." And they go to the Emerald City. And fucking hell. And they go into the Emerald City and there is a big head, right? Which, as everyone knows, which we don't, which is why I'm making this sentence drag out as long as I can until I can think of another celebrity. It is Willem Dafoe.
No!
So Willem Dafoe's big head says, "I'm the Wizard of Oz. You gotta kill the Wicked Witch of the West." Oh,
What?
you gotta kill the Wicked Witch of the West before I will give you, Bayonetta, a mop to clean the poo off of your white room. And Danny DeVito, I will cure your hemorrhoids. And Deborah Messing, I will give you courage.
Aww.
And Brendan Fraser, I will give you... So...
I really imagined him doing it.
That's what he
That's what I
does.
wrote in the script, yeah.
That's what they did. They all hold hands and they skip towards the Wicked Witch of the West. And they go, "We're doing it for the Wicked Witch of the West, so that Brendan Fraser can get his..." So, they find the Wicked Witch of the West, who, of course, is played by Hugo Weaving.
Oh, he's scary.
He is a scary man, and he's got a big pointy nose, and he goes... and he throws a rock at Brendan Fraser's face.
That's not how Hugo Weaving talks.
And
At a rock, he's a witch. He can do all sorts of magic.
Brendan Fraser says, "Oh my God! She's thrown a witch's rock at us!" And it hits him in the head, and his head explodes. And 1,000 worms crawl out of the neck instead of blood. And they slither away, and they've all got Brendan Fraser's voice just going, "We're worms now! We are now worms!" And Willem Dafoe says, "Quick, we've got to save Brendan Fraser! Everybody grab a handful of worms and keep them up your ass!"
Oh, no.
So Deborah Messing and Brendan Fraser and Danny DeVito grab handfuls of worms each and stuff them all up their asses. And they go, "Doing it for your worm ass!" And there's a big big tense emotional moment where Danny DeVito shoves them up and goes, "Ah, my hemorrhoids! Ah!" It's a plot twist. Ah!
Yeah.
And Hugo Weaving laughs. And Willem Dafoe says to the camera, "My God, Hugo Weaving of the West is right! Danny DeVito's hemorrhoids have become infected with worms, and now he also is dead." So he dies and withers away and dies. And
Aww.
oh, he's sad.
Yeah.
And Deborah Messing turns inside out, and it is Cillian Murphy, and he said, "I'm Cillian Murphy! I'm Cillian Murphy!" And he explodes.
Whoa.
And then Willem Dafoe eats a cheesecake.
He is Bayonetta after all. He's totally on top.
Yeah, he pulls a cheesecake out from under his armpit and says, "Well, when in Rome, eat cheesecake." And he and Hugo Weaving says, "Don't forget to break me off a slice." and Willem Dafoe says, "Sure thing, pal." And they each share the cheesecake. While it goes,
well, they're both witches.
They're both witches, and then Willem Dafoe looks at the camera and says, "This is what I wanted to happen all along because I'm a witch, and it's not just because someone just pointed it out." And the camera zooms right up close for this dramatic M. Shyamalan Nightman plot twist, and it zooms up to his mouth, and he in slow motion his mouth pulls apart, and you just see off-white cheesecake mixed up saliva just kind of dribble out of his mouth, and just little bridges sticking between his lower and top upper lip, and they just sort of open and split, and he just goes, and cheese flecks of crumbled cheesecake and graham cracker and bits just sort of fly out of his mouth, and bits of it hit the camera. And he goes, and then the credits roll, and he goes, "Doing it for the cheesecake. Hugo Weaving's eating cheesecake. Bayonetta."
I'm trying to remember what happens on the song after that. It's like a nama man or something. Something about her hand or something. I don't know. That's who is that? Who did that? LaRue.
U2.
LaRue song. U2 did that. I mean, that is classic U2. Bono and The Edge.
People are dying in Africa.
He is quite the what do you call it? Activist.
That he is.
That U2.
Loves to look after the starvings.
You know, the producer of Bayonetta, Kamiya, I can't remember his first name, Kamiya-san.
Is it Hideki Kamiya? Or am I
think so.
Else?
No, I think you're right. I think we're following each other on Twitter now. He responds to my tweets every once in a while. I'm just going to tweet to him this podcast that you have just planned out Bayonetta 2 from beginning to end. Every cutscene has just been scripted for him. He just needs to plan some gameplay around that. Done.
I should write for video games. They should give me every video game to write for. Granted, it would all have that plot, no matter what the game was.
Be more interesting than a lot of plots out there, as you know.
I'll be honest, I panicked and didn't have an idea at all. I just thought Willem Dafoe wearing the Harry and the Henderson suit, and then the more I panicked, the more I felt compelled to speak. So,
yeah, it went well. I enjoyed it. For people who don't know, Harry and the Hendersons is a Bigfoot movie, part of the kind of magical orphan genre of films. It was really big in the 80s. There was Gremlins, there was Punky Brewster. She was sort of magical. Actually, Mac and Me, he was a magical orphan. E.T.
Yeah.
Yep. And Harry and the Hendersons, he's a Bigfoot. He's a big old smelly man monster that John Lithgow just cuddles and loves. And then at one point they're in a dumpster. They're driving a dump truck around with a dumpster in the back. It's a good movie. Check it out, people. He's hairy though, just like Bayonetta. That was the connection.
That was the gag of the piece. It was the only joke.
It was a good joke, but if I thought I'd explain it to make it funnier. Just kidding. It's terrible when you explain jokes. It ruins the comedy.
Doing it for the jokes.
I had an idea that we should start a band where we're a Salt and Pepper cover band. And, that's a good idea. And we'll start with Push It and just go through their whole catalog and wear all the different outfits. There'll be tons of different costume changes every show. I think it would be perfect. Because Salt and Pepper, they at the time were like, whoa, who are these people rapping? There's no like lady rappers and with short hair too. And these days there's no whatever we are in rap. It's time that we brought us to the forefront and made us champions of rap. I think, Jim.
There is literally no way that what you just said is a bad idea. That's I love it. We are now the Salt and Pepper of video games.
Why not? Yeah.
Damn right. Next PAX, we'll perform to a sellout hotel room.
Do you know any of the lyrics to Push It Real Good?
Push it. Push it, my friend.
That's how we could go now. One of the things I love about Push It is
now that's the one where they go push it real good, yeah?
That's the one.
I know that bit. Push it real good.
Mm-hmm. It's about wanting a man to do you hard.
Hey, we've all been there.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's got a beatbox where it's really hard, but I'll try to do it when we have the rap group. You have to sniff in twice and breathe out once. So it's like, oh, it's hard. Then your lungs get filled with air and you can't keep going. But
I must let you know that forever in my house now, on loop, I will have you going, it's hard.
I figured somehow that would turn against me, but I had to try. Yeah.
Push it. Push it over there.
No, that's not how it goes. It's not just instructions, moving stuff around the house. It's a sex song. Moving by days and by nights, working up a sweat. See you pushing like I wish you would, or something about blowjobs. I don't know. It's a good song. Oh yeah, the Wii U event.
Oh yeah.
Is that worth talking about? I'll try.
So yeah.
I want to be good, so I'll try to do a good job talking. There was a couple of new Nintendo Land games there. 3, actually. One of them I forgot was there until just now because it is a pretty good iPhone game, I guess. Not to say that certain games are only supposed to be on certain platforms, but you know what I mean. There's a small, simple sort of just play for 5 minutes and then forget you ever played it experience that's common on phones, just because that's where you are with your phone, waiting in lines and just sitting around. That was good. Balloon Trip Breeze. I love Balloon Trip. I'm like attached to that. Balloon Fight, I mean, attached to that whole franchise, I guess it is, because there's like 3 games in it. But I think most human beings won't care about it. Metroid Blast. That was good. It was better than Other M in terms of what I like about the idea of a third-person Metroid. Other M, you play much Other M, Jim? I can't remember.
No.
No. It sucked for me because in a Metroid game, you should feel like you could potentially go anywhere. Like you run into a wall and you're like, oh, maybe if I drop a bomb there, there'll be a secret passage or something. There's a sense that there's a world that's there to be explored, and what on the surface may seem like a dead end may actually be a path to something really interesting. And it's also about jumping and precision shooting, which I like. Other M wasn't about any of those things. It was about just kind of going from point A to point B. You can't even fall down a lot of pits because there'd be like invisible walls to keep you from jumping through certain areas. It was very confining and restricting. And also the shooting was all auto-aim. So, just picture if the next Call of Duty was auto-aim. You'd be, what's the point of this? Sure. So that's how I felt about Other M. But this game in Nintendo Land, you aim with the Wii remote, and you run around, and you can jump, and you can turn in a morph ball, and you can do all the Metroid things. Or you play with the gamepad and can be in the ship and have a totally different experience there. Anyway, I really liked that. It was a really fun cooperative and competitive third-person shooter with more of a Metroid feel gameplay-wise than I got from Other M. That was good, but my favorite one was the Pikmin one, because it's like Dynasty Warriors. It's just like kick their ass over and over again. Except Pikmin. Yeah, it's pretty good. And the interesting part, gameplay-wise, is the two people playing with the Wii remotes are just melee, violent, up-close fighters, whereas the person with the gamepad has to sit back and play defensively because they have projectiles, which are little Pikmin they toss at people. So you got to change up your gameplay style depending on what character you have, but you also have to work as a team because some characters can do things that other characters can't, and big boss fights and pick-ups and leveling up and stuff like that. It's pretty good. Yeah, more like Diablo, I guess, like a little cute Diablo than Dynasty Warriors. But it was definitely hack and slash, definitely beat 'em up. And I played Zombie U. That was good. You die right away. A lot of tension around that. A lot of jump scares. A lot of tension. Spending a lot of time just building up tension. Then all of a sudden a zombie jumps out of the water and kicks your ass. And it's one bite kills for the most part. I think you get one antidote that you can use, and then after that, if you get bit one more time, you're dead.
Now that's interesting, because most zombie games forego the whole zombie bite aspect of zombie lore just to make a game where you have more of a chance, I guess. You know, in Resident Evil, they're constantly noshing on you, and you don't even get bite marks, let alone infected. But that's interesting. Now, they get around this by, if you die, another character takes over and has to go get your backpack or something?
That's right. You don't play as any one particular character. It's not like this is one person's story. What you're trying to do is unravel a mystery that's being spoken to you, sort of Bioshock style, from a disembodied voice that's involved in some way and is trying to lead all these survivors forward, and a lot of them are too cowardly to do so. But so you play as just a random survivor. You could be, a bald old man, or you could be the youngish woman, African American woman. So it's another cool thing about it is it's not just the same old random action hero archetype as your character. You can be anybody for that moment. And when they get killed, then your consciousness, well, they don't say this in the game, but you get reincarnated as somebody new who then picks up the mantle to try to carry things on and move forward. And you can go to where your old character just died and kill the zombie version of them and get all your stuff back. Right. And kill the zombie that killed you. So it's got a little bit of
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it seems like an interesting twist on the Demon Souls idea of going back to where you died and recollecting what was left behind.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Ah.
Weird. And that's not by coincidence. I talked to the story designer of the game, who will actually be on Subhomes in November, which was neat. She seemed really nice and smart and invested. She was really passionate about the game. And she said that Dark Souls, Demon Souls was a huge inspiration, as was Shaun of the Dead, as was a lot of different stuff. They took their inspiration from a lot of different areas. And yeah, good game. It's a weird game, which is kind of the Wii U lineup in general. It's Mario, which people either like or they don't, and then a bunch of weird games that hopefully will collect a bunch of cult audiences under one roof. So there was that. I played Skylanders Giants. I completely don't understand that game. Something about being a big lava man punching a wall. I tried to play it. I couldn't even wrap my head around it.
I like Skylanders.
It seems fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I like him. He's all good.
And it's weird. It's a Wii game and a Wii U game and a PS3 360 game. It's like coming out on everything at the same time. But they designed a bunch of new characters for it and a bunch of new toys. And I was there with Mike from Ripton, who's a huge Skylanders fan, and we did this whole big interview, and then the sound didn't come out. It sucked. But anyway, if you like Skylanders, like, clearly that's something to be excited about, because they took in a lot of new, interesting directions while just adding a bunch of new stuff in the same style for fans of that. What else did I play? I know there's some other stuff in there. I played the Call of Duty. It looks great on the Wii U screen. Like, you could easily just have that be your new portable version of Call of Duty if that's what you want. It looked fantastic, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm on the fence. I might buy it. I might, because it was really well made, and there's so many different control schemes, and there's a lot more in the way of local co-op now, or competitive. And I like playing with the Wii Remote Nunchuck, which you can still do. So I could play that on the TV, where someone who's more skilled, and I have some Call of Duty loving friends. They could come over and play it on the gamepad, or we could just all go online. There's a lot you can do with it. I think that was it. That's about it. Yeah. Oh, Tekken. Played Tekken Tag 2. It's just the same as on the other consoles, except there's a new mushroom mode where you can just get big or small from mushrooms flying at you, and they're like flying at you constantly, so it's basically just like playing in a random size generator vat while you're playing. So you never know who's going to win, because you might win just because you shrunk at the last second and dodged a hit. And there's a bunch of new Nintendo costumes too. That's fun. Yeah, video games. Yeah, I met Reggie too.
Oh yes, I wanted to ask you about that, because you had a story about Reggie being odd.
Yeah, I like Reggie now, officially. I might even love him, because he is RoboCop, I think. Do you know how RoboCop... No, I'm serious. That's serious. You know how RoboCop, he was once human, and then he became this thing that just has like 4 prime directives that it has to follow.
Yeah.
And he can't like be a human anymore. But every once in a while his humanity like comes out by accident and he gets like confused and doesn't know what to do. That is Reggie. Like he has to follow all these directives all the time, because if he says one wrong thing, stocks could drop for Nintendo, because like let's say he were to say Animal Crossing is for hardcore gamers. All right, then people are going to think he's an idiot and stock's going to drop and he's going to get bad press. Whereas if he says there are hardcore gamers who will love Animal Crossing, like almost the exact same thought but just a slight change in wording, and it's not that big of a deal, you know? So he's constantly got to be afraid of what he's going to say and how he could screw up the whole company. So he's got these very firm guidelines as to how he can act. But then, if you just the right place and the right time, and having a stuffed purple Pikmin toy that I happen to have, just like brought out this whole different side of him. Like he ran. I saw him and he ran away from me with a weird like gazelle speed that didn't make any sense, because he's a tank, you know? He's like 300 his big chunky legs hustling away, and I'm like, Reggie, I got a purple Pikmin, and his face turned from total hating scowl to like my granddad who just like wants to sit me on his knee and read me a story. It was like, what, you're a human being now? And then he signed the Pikmin and announced angrily, I am a big purple Pikmin. And then left. Then just immediately left. Didn't shake my hand and say goodbye. Just.
That sounds so weird.
It was the best, because he was weird. He was a legitimate weird man who couldn't help but get excited about signing a purple Pikmin for some reason.
Yeah. Everything about that story is weird. Like him seeing you and running.
Yeah.
And then allowing you to...
He was very far away. It's not like I got him and he felt like uncomfortable, like, oh, well, now I'm next to this guy, so I have to sign the purple Pikmin. No, he was like, hallway away from me. He was almost out the door. But then he saw the purple Pikmin and he turned around just as fast as he had ran from me. He ran back to me and was like, yeah, gotta do it for a purple Pikmin. Like, what? No, you don't. Why are you? Okay, I couldn't have been happier about it. It really showed me that though he is a robot by design, I mean, that's his job, he can't help but be a human being sometimes, and a human being that I liked. I really liked him at that point, and I still do. Who knows if I ever see him again, how he'll be, or if he just has to, follow the corporate line or whatever. But for that moment, he was an actual dude I was hanging out with. And as soon as it started, yeah.
I was just saying, and yet not a single element of that story makes any human sense.
Well, that's what I like about him, is that, I'm kind of weird too. I could picture myself if I was in a high pressure corporate job and I just had to like destroy my own personality and never let people see what I'm like, and then I just have this one chance to be like a normal dude for a second, I'd be super weird. All that pent up humanity would make me a strange man indeed. So yeah, that's my Reggie story.
Interesting.
Yeah. Who knows? It's I wonder if he's seen it. That would be really fun. Oh, and then the Pikmin got lost or stolen like immediately after that. So it's kind of even more fun for me to watch the video because it's not just a rare item; it's a non-existent item now that he signed. Pretty neat. Yeah.
That's sad that it got lost.
It is. I would have given it away or done a charity auction for it or something, and maybe it'll turn up, but I highly doubt it. Yeah.
Crack on that you definitely were doing a charity auction for kids with AIDS, and then we can say that if someone stole it, you just let children die of AIDS. I hope you're happy with yourself, with your evil self.
Yeah, I could crack on that, or I could ask Nintendo, "Hey, could you sign another one? I'll give it away for charity." Blah, blah. They might let me. We'll see. I forgot to do questions. Do you want me to do questions, Jim?
No, but let's do it anyway.
People love asking questions, and some pretty good stuff can come
Answering questions all weekend.
Oh, yeah, I know. He must have burnt out on questions.
Fun times.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I'll try to. Oh, I'm at 442 Twitter. Do you know about that?
42 Twitter? What?
Yeah, I don't know. I went to the new Twitter.
Ah.
Oh, it keeps taking me to the new Twitter. That's no good. Maybe I won't even get to do questions because the new Twitter keeps blocking me. You play any good video games, Jim? You've been too busy with the expo.
I've been playing some video games.
What you been playing?
I don't know why I said it like that. Video games? I am Dr. Victor von Gooswing! It is a vampire!
That's from Count Duckula, right?
Count Duckula! Yeah. There's not Doctor, Victor von Gooswing of Van Helsing Sats type thing. Anyway, yes, I've been playing Borderlands 2, as I said. Enjoying that. That was good. Not much time to play anything else with Thingy. Been playing a lot of PS Vita though.
Oh, awesome! Really?
Yeah, to keep me. It wasn't a long flight to North Carolina from where I am, but I wanted something to keep me going on the plane. So even though I felt really decadent doing this, I felt incredibly white doing this. Like it was one of those white people problems things. It's like, oh, I need something on the plane to feel better about my life. So I bought the Metal Gear Solid HD games, even though I've already got them on my console. I bought them to have them on my Vita, which made me feel incredibly spoiled and pathetic. But yeah, I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 2 again on the Vita, and that was fun. And that's about it, really. That's about all I've had time for.
Well, you've been on the go. Yeah,
I've been on the old Expo. Yeah.
I played a game called Samurai Gun with 2 N's, and it's awesome. If you can find it, play it. It's a free PC game that's still work in progress. It's still in beta. But it's a 4-player competitive game. Kind of harkens back to classic Ninja Gaiden. I'm sorry. People hate it when I pronounce stuff wrong. God. And you can shoot a fireball or you got a sword move. You can jump around. It's very, very simple, but it's very fair and very exciting. Kind of like Nidhogg. You know that game, Jim? I'm just talking about games people don't know about. Anyway, look up Samurai Gun if you have the chance. It's pretty good. Very good, actually. Let's see. The questions are coming in. Let's see what they're asking. What are each of y'all's most regretted DLC purchases? Asks Ellie O'Dare, who's Azure Angel 17 on Twitter. Do you have any regretted DLC purchases, Jim?
Regretted DLC purchases. Let's say, I think I bought like an Elder Scroll, like Oblivion DLC once, one of the lairs, one of the homes you could buy, and I thought, this is rubbish. Otherwise, I don't really buy a lot of DLC, and if I do, it's stuff, I really did want, like an actual expansion. I don't buy a lot of wasteful DLC. Bought 1 or 2 weapons for Dynasty Warriors 7, which seemed a bit pointless. Yeah, that's about it, really. I didn't buy anything, crazy like horse armor or any of the really bad stuff. How about you?
Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. I don't know if you know that game. It's good. It's not great, but it uses a lot of Final Fantasy IV assets, which are great. So that ups the quality. Just the music and the storyline, the characters and stuff. It's not as good as the original, but it's all right. But it is Square Enix, new Square Enix, I should say. So you buy the main game, and you'll be done with that in about 6 hours. Then if you want to play the other parts, you can buy them in episodes for like $3 a piece.
Ugh.
There's no saying which will be good or which will be bad or which are essential to really the full story and which aren't. And that sucked. And I started to buy them, and I think I got to the one, if you know Final Fantasy IV, do you remember Yang? He's just like the Chinese stereotype with a mustache who knows karate or kung fu.
It's been a long time since I played the original. I don't know what's in the after.
He's just a kicking guy.
Right.
And he has his own storyline that I paid $3 for that literally did nothing or said nothing, or it was completely pointless. And then I stopped buying the episodes, so it really backfired for Square Enix. I bought the final one way later, but there's a bunch of them I skipped because if that had just been part of a full-priced game, then I would have just said, oh, that was a bad part of a game, but I'll keep going. But instead, by nickel and diming me piece by piece, they caused me to stop buying the rest of their game, and therefore not giving them as much money. So they flopped. Yep, that's my most regretted piece of DLC. Let's see, other questions. Someone wants to know what you think of Anthony's writing on Borderlands 2. Yes, Pablo Sencioetti asks, what do you think of Birch's skill as a video game writer, Jim? I haven't played Borderlands 2 enough, so I don't know.
That's one problem I have with Borderlands 2. Not the writing per se, but having known and worked with Anthony Birch for many years, everybody talking, I just hear them as Anthony Birch. His work as a writer is incredible if you don't know Anthony Birch, because it's so him. Like, everything is it's just him. You can hear it all, him saying it in that dry way he says things. And, I mean, it's fantastic. The character of Handsome Jack is a great laugh. He's the main bad guy in this. He's constantly, like, coming on your intercom, like over your radio to taunt you and harass you and whatnot. There's a great bit when he's chewing while he's talking. He's just like, hey, pretzel sucks. And then just carries on talking. A few of the jokes are a bit overplayed. Like, there's a very funny one when he shows off about how rich he is. He buys a horse made out of diamonds and then names it after you. And so he calls it Butt Stallion, which is very funny, but then he talks about Butt Stallion a lot. So some of the jokes are a bit long-winded, but when they first hit, at least, they are very good. And I haven't gotten hugely far into Borderlands 2 because the Escapist Expo happened in between. So, but the initial opening, fantastic, and Birch is Birch. He is a very witty man.
I would imagine it's a bit like seeing your wife act in a movie. You'd be like, yep, that's my wife in the movie. You couldn't really, like, get absorbed into it and think that she's actually someone else because it's someone you know.
And even a bit more than that, because an actor or actress is playing, a role that's been written for them, whereas this is Birch. This is his voice. This is his writing style. So it's not just someone who is your wife or husband playing someone else. It's almost like Birch himself is talking to you constantly while you play. But like I say, the man's an incredible writer. This was, I believe, obviously the first full game he wrote, especially at least AAA wise, and fantastic debut.
Yeah, I'm so excited for his career after doing this. I think he's bought himself at least like 3 flops if he wants, because the from other than the Wall Street Journal, of course, the reviews of the writing are really through the roof. People are really impressed with it. And for M. Night Shyamalan, all he needed was one breakout hit, and then he could make like 4 or 5 bad movies in a row, and they keep giving him scripts after that. They keep letting him make scripts. I mean, so yeah, Anthony just bought himself like 5 bad games if he wants. It's awesome.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm happy for him.
But it's great. I mean, him and Mikey Newman, they've worked together on. They did Anthony Saves the World, which was a web series for a while, and I have a feeling if they carry on, they're going to be known historically as just one of the great winning writing teams.
Yeah, I hope so. It's exciting to see. The game's going to do well, right? People are already talking about it. It's going to make money, right?
Yeah.
Not going to flop.
I mean, the first one was successful. Sequels tend to do better. I mean, it's a rough period for games right now, but fingers crossed. It's been promoted very well, I think, and I wish it all the best, because it's a fine game.
Now another question from Mark Griffiths, known as Grifflar on Twitter. He asks, would you do me a solid and ask this question on Podtoid? Yes, I will, Mark.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did it. Another one from Kyle S. asks, ideas for a Lollipop Chainsaw sequel? Also, why did Black Mesa? That's the name of the thing.
Black Mesa, yeah.
Yeah, capture your attention this past weekend. Just curious. Do you have any ideas for a Lollipop Chainsaw sequel, Jim?
More of it that is good.
I think they would have to do some new things gameplay-wise and kind of user interface-wise in order to keep it interesting. Because I liked Lollipop Chainsaw a lot, but at the same token, after you get certain power-ups, it is just, I use that combo to try to kill 7 zombies in a row, the game. Like, that's all I did after that. So they could either start all over and have you build up in the same way, or they could try to expand the combat, maybe do some more aerial combat, or just kind of changing the vertical in general, have you try to go up and down a little bit more, maybe jump attacks, I don't know. But they would have to beef up the combat engine, I think. Maybe different chainsaws, too. That's what they did with No More Heroes. It was a simple thing, but they gave you a sword that was faster in No More Heroes 2, and one that was, if you didn't get hit for a while, it would extend in length, which was another penis joke, I think, metaphor. They changed it up with the combat in that way, and it worked. And I'd also like an open world structure, kind of like how No More Heroes had. I think it would be really fun to actually go to the different locations.
Well, see, I actually liked the arcade setup that it had more than sort of an open world thing. It had this very strict arcade scenario to me.
Yeah.
The other stuff, though, yeah, I'm with you on that. I would like the combat to be more expanded, I guess. I like the idea of more, because they had, outside of the chainsaws, they had some good sort of unlockables, customization. They could certainly do with building that up a bit more.
Yeah, I think so. I liked that you occasionally had to shoot. They could maybe find ways to expand on that, too. It was kind of like a cross between No More Heroes and Shadows of the Damned in that way, and that was fun. How about, Jim, what if they took out the little jobs and made them separate, like in No More Heroes? Because No More Heroes, there's diversions from the main combat, but you choose them. Whereas in Lollipop Chainsaw, you just kind of get thrown into running over zombies with a lawnmower, or having to play an arcade game all of a sudden. Would you want those separate or keep them kind of integrated?
I think either separate, or don't make it so I have to beat them to continue the level. The one thing that did annoy me was it doesn't matter how good you're doing in a level. If you fail once at one of those things, you get a game over, and that affects your score. And I felt that was a bit shitty of them to suddenly throw this different game at you, because some of those things were just entirely different games, and hinge your success on that, no matter how well you were doing. So yeah, I mean, I would prefer to have not played any of those distractions at all, because none of them were good.
Yeah, there was one that was good in theory, but I didn't even figure out how to beat it properly until after I'd won the game. It's the arcade one. Do you remember that, where you're like climbing up a building?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't have too much of a problem with the arcade one, I
I
guess.
didn't know you could shoot in that one, so I was just dodging everything constantly and dying.
I think it took me a
Sucked.
while to work that out too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, they suddenly change the rules on you and expect you to roll with it, and then punish you harshly if you don't suddenly get with it. I thought that was a bit crude of them, a bit
Yeah.
vulgar.
Wow. I like how strong of a word that is for that. Oh, and then Black Mesa is a game that I did not understand the appeal of after reading a quite well written article by Josh DeRocher on our site. And people got really angry at me about it. I didn't actually bother reading the comments, but I heard they got angry. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
again, I was only because I've not really settled in until today, but from what I could tell, it seemed that people were angry with you concerning something about Black Mesa. That's what I picked up
yeah,
by osmosis.
I'll tell you about it briefly and see, because I am interested to hear what people would think about this. Be happy to get some feedback on this. Um, I'll have a lack of understanding as to why people care about something, and I'll ask, like, is this why people care about this? And I also said that the game looked like a pretty good PS2 game, which I stand by that. In the screenshots provided by Josh, and also the video, which didn't stream in HD, I was like, that looks all right. Yeah, that looks like, Resident Evil 4 goodness, I guess, which I like a lot. But it doesn't, like, I was surprised that people were really impressed with the game's graphics, because it was a fan-made game. It's kind of like, and it looks like one. It looks like a good fan-made game on PC. And since then, people have educated me and told me, oh no, when you actually play it, it's in HD and it looks a lot crisper and there's no anti-aliasing and blah blah. I don't even care about that stuff. But anyway, my comment was, looks like a pretty good PS2 game. Are people just into this because it's fan-made and it's based on a series that people are really desperate for more of? And people got they thought I was intentionally trying to like disrespect their game that they liked and just being mean. They thought I was trying to like hurt their feelings or something. I don't know, because for me, a remake is rarely exciting. Like when they remade Pokemon Heart and Gold, I like Pokemon a lot. When they remade that, I was like, I've already played that. Not interested. Sure, the graphics are better, but I like the graphics they were before. It was fine the way it was. That's why I liked it in the first place. So in general, remakes, I don't dislike them, but I don't tend to understand the excitement about it. And
Yeah,
voicing that really pissed people off, I
that's fair
guess.
enough. I guess it's more. I guess the fact it is fan made helps because then it's not a thing to make money so much as an actual project of love. So people always consider them a bit more sincere. So people
Hmm.
get more excited about that. Also, obviously, just a huge love people have for Half-Life, and the fact that these days it is a very ugly game. There's no getting
Hmm.
around that. The original Half-Life, the original Source-based game, is deeply unattractive. But because that game evoked so much imagination and so much excitement, and people still adore that game and still play it, I guess playing it in a way that allows them to enjoy it more, because graphics aren't everything, but a lot of those old, like early 3D games can be damn harsh
Oh,
to
sure.
on the eyes. So playing it in a way that is less painful, I guess, visually painful, has people excited. And the fact it, of course, took so long because it was a very long project, a labour of love, and
Like
people only
7
got more
years
and
or
more
something.
excited. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I definitely see why people are excited. I'm a big fan of Half Life. Well, I'm not a big fan of the first Half Life. I think it aged a lot. So that's just me. But I'm excited to see how Black Mesa turns out. But
You should get it. People are so happy about it. And since then, many people like Max Roig explained to me via Twitter how new the game is and how fun it is and how much stuff they added. And it really feels like a very skilled fan of Half-Life that understands what you like about Half-Life made a game for you. I mean, these are all things I wasn't opposed to hearing, but for some reason, I don't know. The internet's a risky place. Just by offhand comment, you can accidentally piss everyone off and make them think that you don't respect them or like them or something. That's not how I felt at all. I just honestly didn't understand the appeal. But now I think I do. So thanks, guys. Thanks for telling me why you like a video game. Now I get it. Good times. Yeah. You any more questions? There's so many.
Let's do one. Let's do one or two more.
All right. Triforce Game Master, who I met at. I've met him a couple of times actually. I felt like a real dick. I didn't remember I had met him before. He is the guy who was first in line to get a Wii and a 3DS. He always wears a Power Glove. Are you familiar with him? He's on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy. I met him at the Nintendo event in New York again. He asks who's going to get the Wii U first. Probably you, Jim. Right? They're going to mail you one, I hope.
Hopefully. I should be down to do it. I'm already sort of plotting out coverage and review stuff, so yeah, gearing up for that launch. But obviously, I don't know if that counts. I'm sure he means like who will buy it. I don't know if me getting it for my job or...
No, I think he means that. He's planning on somehow using the mayor of New York City and his considerable clout with Nintendo to get one before anyone else in the country. So I bet he wants to know if he's going to get one before you somehow. Me, I pre-ordered one. I barely got under the wire before pre-orders closed. So I'm going to get one on launch, but you'll probably get one. If Nintendo's smart, they'll get you one at least a week out so you can review some games for it, right?
Oh, let's see what happens. I'm not, banking on anything yet because I found when it comes to hardware, things inevitably go wrong. So we'll see what happens. But I hope to provides a lot of coverage of it when it comes out because I know, like I said, I'm excited for a new launch and being able to do that for Destructoids, the first console of a new generation would be a distinct honor. So yeah.
Yeah, they got to do that. They got to. Somebody, I gotta find it. This is a weird question to ask. I think I'll do it. It was about if you loved me at first sight or whether I grew on you. Let me see if I can find the way you really worded it. Yeah, it's Andrew McGee, who has a very cute animated Twitter avatar of a little cat walking on the Mario ground. Andrew McGee 2 asks, when you first met Jonathan Holmes, was it love at first sight or did he grow on you?
I think it was a growing thing. I think most love is. I'm not a firm believer of love at first sight because I find love is it's about spending time with someone and getting to know them and then getting to appreciate the good and the bad of that person. I don't agree with the concept of love at first sight. I mean, that's just base attraction. Which again, I think wasn't something I had at first. It's something that grew. I became physically attractive to your soul.
That's great. I appreciate it. I remember.
I would love to cast a seance and drag your soul out of your body and then have sex with it and then stick it back in you all wet and sogging.
You didn't see that comic strip I sent you with the spider giving a blowjob to a stranger, did you?
The sexual, the STD, STI now things. There's another one of a scorpion, isn't there?
Oh no, I don't know about this. This sounds great.
Oh, maybe I misheard you.
No, it's a little comic strip where a man wakes up and there's a giant spider giving him a blowjob. And the spider says, "Oh, normally I inject you with a paralyzing poison, so you don't wake up for this. Sorry." And then it just leaves. It just flies out the window on a web. Pretty good comic strip, Jim. I've just ruined it now, but you can read it later if you want.
Yeah.
The art's pretty good. Yeah. Have you played the new Resident Evil 6 demo? Matt Ed with Cheese asks, in case you haven't mentioned, what are your opinions on the Resident Evil 6 demo? I thought it was one of the most dull things I've played, he says. I didn't know, is that out yet, the new Resident Evil 6 demo?
It came out today.
Oh, I gotta go download it. Yeah.
Again, I'm biting my tongue about Resident Evil 6. I have played more than the demo, and words are coming.
From what I have played of Resident Evil 6, I will say that it'll be sad if Resident Evil Revelations is the last even vaguely scary, vaguely true to what Resident Evil kind of means in terms of gameplay. Because the term has come to mean something in terms of what you'll experience in game mechanics, and it seems like they've abandoned all that. And Resident Evil Revelations wasn't even kind of a perfect or close to perfect game, but it was at least good, and it was at least it stayed true to the Resident Evil name, I thought. And I'll be very sad if Resident Evil 6 is the end of that. Maybe it'll not do that well, and they'll go back. You never know. People always say, oh, Mega Man's dead, or Final Fantasy's dead, or blah, blah, blah. Just because they kind of go in a weird direction for a little while doesn't mean they won't come back to it. We'll see. Stranger things have happened. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to... should I try to do this? Samius Tweedius wants to know what the unintentionally sarcastic old man would have to say about people being angry about Bayonetta 2 being a Wii U exclusive.
Do it.
It's hard to do. Do you want to try doing the unintentional sarcastic sounding old man, Jim?
Nope.
That'd be more
I
fun.
have no intention of encroaching on that. I can't do it.
All right. I guess he'd be like, oh, I feel so bad for you boys. Wanted to play a video game on one console. And now you gotta play it on another one. That must be so hard. Sorry, I lost it a little bit.
I love how strained he's getting as he gets closer to death.
And high pitched, yeah, that was a really weird whistly tone. Anyway, that's the end of all I have to say on the show this week, I think, Jim. We did a good one. Just two-man team. We did that again.
Did it.
Done that in a while.
Did it, guys. Did it. Guys, we did it. We did it. Guys, did it.
That's how you should write Borderlands 3 and just have it be that. We did it every time we get gold. We did it, guys. Oh, we did it. I did it.
We did it, guys. Watch me do it now. Okay. If you enjoyed that, and many of the other things we talked about on the Podtoid, I'm laughing already. Maybe you'd like to know what else we do this week and have done and will do and did and will do. Jonathan,
Yeah.
if people listening to this wanted to know what the flying fuck you have been doing with yourself when you don't do this, where can they find more of your stuff and what is it you've been doing?
Well, for the past few days, and probably going forward, the only thing of worth I'll have done is some videos on Destructoid's YouTube page. I did, I think, 7 videos there of impressions of Wii U games, including Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on the gamepad, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Pikmin Adventure on Nintendo Land, Metro Blast on Nintendo Land, then that interview with Reggie, that's worth watching, I think. It's only 40 seconds. Won't take too much of your time. I also interviewed Anthony Birch for Sup Holmes, which is the podcast / live stream talk show that I've been doing since February. He was on a while back, but we threw a clip of it up on YouTube if you want to get a little bit of what Anthony is like and what his process in making Borderlands 2 is like. That's about a 10-minute video on YouTube. And that's it. Sup Holmes is on hiatus until Conrad gets back from Tokyo, which will not be this Sunday, but the following Sunday. But on that Sunday, we'll be back with Derek Yu, who is the creator of Spelunky, a great game on the Xbox 360 that I have not played enough of. I'm so afraid to use my Xbox 360. I think it's going to melt. Maybe I'll buy a new one before Derek comes on the show, just so I can be smarter when I talk to him. Anyway, that'll be great when he's on. He's going to come on at the end of the month. And until then, I'll just try to keep plugging away, writing the news when I have the chance, writing some articles, whatnot. On Destructoid.com. Yeah, that's where I am. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do it. Let's fucking do it. Let's do it, my friends. What have I done? Fuck.
You did a
Lots of
new
stuff.
Jimquisition about crying and laughing.
There's a new position on escapistmagazine.com. This week is about narrative and why a lot of games fail to have proper, like, sad tragedy in them because the games are completely humorless and miserable from the get-go, so there's nowhere lower to go, and how laughter and happy things in games can make tragedy more memorable. So I thought that was an interesting little argument. You can do that. Also on escapistmagazine.com this week, they are uploading a lot of the things I did at the Escapist Expo. So if you want to see panels when I've been doing stuff, my favourite was a panel called The Hour of Love. The full video of that is up. That's me, Movie Bob, and Yahtzee, and We Could Only Say Nice Things, as I said earlier. And you can do that. My only sad thing about the video is I opened it by singing my own version of Can You Feel the Love Tonight by Elton John. And they unfortunately didn't start filming until after that, so missed that out. But it's a good panel. There's that, there's fanboyism, there's a panel called My Favourite Game, which was the first one of the weekend we did. There's a Q&A panel, 2 of those as well. You can check them all out on Escapist Magazine. On Destructoid.com this week, I've not written it yet, but tomorrow, at least, probably, I will have a review of Kirby's Dream Collection up.
Oh, fun. I gotta go buy that regardless. I'm buying it just for the timeline.
The timeline is fantastic. So yeah, that's going up. Good stuff. Otherwise, I don't know. But we've got a lot of Tokyo Game Show stuff happening this week, of course. We've got a whole bunch of guys out in Japan. That's where Conrad and Hamza, I believe Hamza's there as well. Those guys are out there. They'll be covering that stuff. That's why they're not here with us.
Hamza's actually here in Boston, and he just...
Oh, of course, yeah. Hamza's in Boston.
He might spend time with me, he just said. It's like, I might free up an hour for you tomorrow. I might.
What a mean man he is.
He's so... Yeah, whatever that is, he's really the essence of it. But I love him.
So yeah, they're not here. Alistair Pinsoff has on the front page Borderlands 2 review. He very kindly took over for me when I went to the Escapist Expo because my review copy came in later than I thought. So he very kindly stepped in at the last minute and just busted ass and got it done just before jetting off to Japan. So that's cool. And check that all out on Destructoid.com. And otherwise, we'll be here as usual next week. You can download this podcast, get it off the iTunes if you want, or the RSS feed if you want. Do us a lovely review on iTunes, which will make us feel happy and good. You can also get an app on Android. Get it from the Amazon Marketplace. Don't get it anywhere else. That will give stuff on your phone. Like, it'll automatically bring the podcast to your phone. That's like $2. It helps cover hosting and that kind of stuff. Helps us out. Helps Destructoid out, guys. Otherwise, that's it. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Hey, goodbye.
Hey, goodbye, Jonathan Holmes.
Oh, went in and out with the song.
I'll go in and out of you.